this celebration. It is our great honor to welcome you to this year's Baccalaureate ceremony, where we celebrate our amazing graduates. Our office, religious and spiritual life, has been forever changed, in the best ways, due to these remarkable students. To all the families, we want to say thank you for entrusting the 7C community with your student over the past several years. I also want to thank our entire religious and spiritual life office. We would, quite honestly, flounder about without our incomparable senior administrator, Bridget Bentley. You'll hear from her later also. You're going to hear from her, and you'll see. We've also benefited enormously from Robert Rue's leadership over the past 2 years, not to mention our amazing student team of Ava, Sophie, V, Bree, and many others. And to my fellow chaplains, Imam Hadi, Rabbi Solomon, and Father Vitus, I thank you all for creating such a loving and supportive team environment to come to each day. It's been a great pleasure for me. And I also want to thank Usha G from the Hindu Spiritual Care Institute and our amazing leader, Stephanie Blaisdell. So thank you. I'm going to name people so you have to clap while I'm here, apparently. But before we get into our program, and in the spirit of our many contemplative groups, I want to share a quote that has stuck with me for the past several weeks. Rumi, the great Sufi mystic, said something powerful in its simplicity. He said, "The ocean breaks into waves." I'm going to say it again. The ocean breaks into waves. Whether we call this ocean bliss, interdependence, Brahman, or in my Christian tradition, God, Rumi is saying that God's infinite joy cannot help but break out into movement, moving us in the eternal movement of the universe. For us, then, we get to decide how to respond. Do we brace ourselves for the waves, contending with them? Or do we realize that we aren't other than the waves? And the gift is accepting the ups and downs simply as they come. So may we flow with the flow of God's Spirit, knowing that we are infinitely held in love through it all. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Diana Graves, affectionately known as DT, who has dedicated more than 20 years to supporting students at CMC. Currently serving as the Vice President of Student Affairs. A CMC alumna, she earned 11, I've heard this number, 11 varsity letters. I don't know how that's possible. Yes. I earned 0, so I don't want to brag. 0 is another number for infinity. She earned 11 varsity letters, receiving the Dickinson Award and Berger Prize, and served as head resident assistant. After briefly working in cancer genetics research at City of Hope, she returned to CMC at head women's volleyball coach for 12 seasons before moving into academic and institutional leadership roles. She has led initiatives in accreditation, student well-being, academic integrity, and campus climate, wellness, and integrity. She holds a PhD in education from CGU, right next door, some of our graduates are from there, and has been recognized with CMC's Exceptional Service Award for her commitment to student growth and success. And let me add, more personally, that DT has been a great support to religious and spiritual life, generously giving her time and her compassionate voice to help us fulfill our mission and purpose. So please welcome DT.
Goodness, I did not expect such a warm introduction, and I appreciate that so much. Thank you. together for this Interfaith Baccalaureate service. Welcome to our students and families and friends, faculty and staff on the threshold of this incredibly meaningful transition. For our graduates, the past few weeks have been an absolute whirlwind of lasts, right? Exams and presentations and awards, packing their rooms, saying goodbyes, and the pace after we leave this space will only increase over the next few days. But this afternoon, we pause to breathe, to reflect, to truly sit in gratitude for what has been, and to acknowledge the promise of all that is to come. This space is intentionally interfaith. That means we come together not because we share the same beliefs, but because we share a commitment to curiosity, to humility, and to honoring the many ways people seek meaning and truth and purpose. In a world that often asks us to separate and sort one another into boxes, tonight we are present together, honoring the dignity of each person's journey. Graduates, as you prepare to leave this place, you carry a responsibility to lead thoughtfully, to act with integrity, and to remain open to perspectives beyond your own. The future may feel uncertain, but it's not really about certainty. It's about hope. It's about grounding. It's about gratitude and recognizing that whatever path you take next, you do not walk that path alone. Thank you all so much for being here, and welcome.
I'm Rabbi Solomon Grunwald, and it has been my pleasure to serve alongside my colleagues at Religious and Spiritual Life, the students of the Claremont colleges. And it is truly, as Reverend Joel said, a special team dedicated to interfaith and intrafaith work, to also living and providing part of the mission of the liberal arts education that we are committed to at the Claremont colleges. And what I mean by that is that the liberal arts are grounded in the idea that our learning is not simply a pursuit of knowledge, but also a pursuit of a life of purpose, a dedication to humanity, and that our learning should be for the benefit of all human beings. And as such, part of what we provide as chaplains and what you all have engaged in your time at Religious and Spiritual Life is the search for meaning and purpose beyond simply knowledge. Our students are very smart, they work very hard. And these students on the stage and so many more that participate in Religious and Spiritual Life are dedicated to the pursuit of meaning and purpose in their learning. And so tonight, this afternoon, we will hear from them their reflections on religious and spiritual life in their college career. We'll be displaying each student's names on the screen, so we won't be calling them up individually.
Hello everyone. I want to start by thanking everyone involved in this baccalaureate ceremony, the chaplain's office, Reverend Joel, all the chaplains, and all the others that made this happen. My name is Alyssa Pedicino, and I'm a soon-to-be graduate of Claremont Graduate University with a master's in Women's and Gender Studies in Religion. I am also an alumna of Pomona College. I have been blessed to spend 5 wonderful years in Claremont, where I've transformed both academically and spiritually. I'm a Catholic, and for me, faith and spirituality are both a personal and communal journey of making sense of the world around us and who we truly are in a human sense. I've lived through the pandemic, both Trump administrations, and devastating world events where care for the fellow human has been cast aside in favor of war and a seeming disregard for our shared human experience. Yet, in Catholicism, I find a complicated peace. My journey as a queer progressive Catholic has not been easy, but one pivotal part of that journey has been my community at Macalester and the Catholic Student Association specifically. I attended Mass my freshman and sophomore year, but did not engage with the Catholic community very much outside of that. I didn't feel very connected with my faith because I lacked that consolidated group. But in my junior year, a new group of students came in and started forming this wonderful community. We connected not only as fellow 7C students, but as people of faith, all coming from different Catholic experiences, but all faithful in our own ways. This past year, we have grown even more as a community with the support of Father Vitus, creating a thriving environment of abundant relationships. The Catholic community has been able to thrive and create a space like no other I experienced on these campuses. I've been able to come to the Catholic Student Association whenever I felt scared, lost, sad, angry, or happy, and I knew that the community would be there to comfort me, to talk, and to celebrate my successes. I especially think of Robert, who has been our CSA uncle, always there to support us with a kind word or a caring email, reminding us of our worth and our strength. He is truly one of the most selfless, compassionate, and kind people I have ever met. I am so grateful to McAllister for creating the space for these wonderful experiences and with my Catholic community for allowing us to go on retreats, to have so many meals together, to have movie nights, and to just talk to each other. Leaving this community is one of the most challenging goodbyes I have ever experienced. I myself have been Catholic my whole life. My dad is a deacon, and I grew up altar serving and quite involved in my community. When I got to college, I made the choice to stay Catholic and stay involved and see where my faith led me. That journey has not been easy. I have wondered, I have doubted, but I have grown. Faith and spirituality are not static qualities. They are elements of belief and uncertainty within our own lives. They are not always constant, but by keeping them in my heart, through the good and the bad times, I am able to find comfort. With graduation approaching, I've been putting a lot of thought into the ideas of change, of nostalgia, of grief, and of new beginnings. I will be headed to UT Austin in the fall to begin my PhD in religious studies, and this time for me is filled with excitement, but also apprehension. But I will always carry the Catholic Student Association and the memories I've made at the Claremont colleges with me. I will carry my faith with me and remember that change isn't easy. We grieve the end of beautiful times, and new beginnings are challenging. But I know that I am, and we are ready, and I believe we will truly change the world. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Ichema Nadozie and I am graduating from a PhD program in Applied Life Sciences at the Keck Graduate Institute. It's been a difficult journey to say the least. Being an international student just here on my own without family, I had to embrace one thing and one thing alone that I knew, and that was my faith. As a proud Catholic who grew up in a Catholic home, being in church was my peace. When raging storms, trials, tribulations, difficulty, I would fall at the kneel of the Eucharist and weep. In that I found comfort, in that I found security, in that I found clarity through the difficult times, in times that I didn't even know what to do. I didn't have a mother. The Eucharist became my home. The Eucharist became where I could find my burden. I said a lot of novenas, Our Lady of Good Success, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and my favorite saints, Saint Jude Thaddeus, because they were impossible times. There were times I didn't even know if I could make it, if I should quit, but faith got me grounded. My mantra became Philippians 4:13. In Christ I can do all things. So when it was hard, I would remind myself of that chapter. When it was difficult, Jesus walked with me, and that was all I could achieve. Faith kept me grounded, gave me a familiarity that even America couldn't give me, because there's something about being in a home and in a place where you all share the same faith. It was new to me, but it was still good. It was accepting, it was comforting. And that was the only way I survived through the 4 years and 6 years that I have been here, master's and now PhD. My faith got me here. I wouldn't have made it if I didn't have my strong background. And thank you to everyone at the Our Lady of Assumption. That is where I worship, and they were family. There's some form of embracement that I got and people who loved me through it all. I found parents there, I found the church, I found just happy faces that after Mass people would just hug you and thank you and just give you some form of cookies. I love cookies, so everyone in church knows that. But that was family to me. That was where I felt safe, and that was where I felt welcomed. And that's what the Catholic faith will do to you anywhere you go. Thank you.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. It's a hard act to follow. Good afternoon, everyone, friends, family, professors, mentors. Thank you to all who have traveled from far and wide to celebrate your graduates, and thank you for being here today. This ceremony marks the beginning of such a beautiful weekend, celebrating such amazing people and their various achievements. My name is Sarah Ibrahim. I'm one of this year's co-presidents of the Muslim Student Association, and I'm also a senior at Pomona College, graduating with a degree in neuroscience and a minor in Middle Eastern studies. When I first arrived at Pomona College, I was concerned with how I would find my people, or people who related to me and had shared aspects of identity. Over my 4 years in Claremont, I've come to the realization that belonging was never about finding people exactly like me. It was about learning to grow alongside people who were very different. My time here has shown me that my people are those who want to sit up late at night discussing religion, those who want to wake up before sunrise to fast during Ramadan just to experience what I experience, people who want to spontaneously get a meal and end up sitting in Frary for 2 hours, people who come to Friday prayer with me to learn about the Muslims, people who listened, learned, and people who wanted to teach me in exchange. I was fortunate enough to grow up in an amazing, enriching religious community, and I came to school thinking that community was easy and instant. But Claremont has taught me that building community requires conscious work and thought. Community is not entirely natural, but it's built on understanding, empathy, grace, and compassion. It's built when people are willing to be uncomfortable and willing to take more onto their plate for the sake of understanding someone else a little bit better. This week is not just a celebration of achievement, although everyone here has achieved a lot. It's a celebration of growth, of the ways that we've changed each other by learning, struggling, questioning, living together, working together, and finding our own individual ways in the world. Last week, I called my mom and told her that graduation felt a little bit like the world was ending, and she laughed and told me I was being very dramatic, which might have been true, but it didn't feel like it at the time, because come Monday, I'll no longer be living with 7 other girls in our beautiful but weird suite, and I'll be states away from people that I've spent every day of the last 4 school years with. That feels like insurmountable change. But feeling that way shows me how lucky I was to have experiences that make saying goodbye hard. And standing here now, surrounded by people who have carried us, challenged us, believed in us, graduation feels more like a reminder that none of us have arrived at this moment alone, and that we have done it alongside each other. Part of being a college student is constantly wondering who you are and reflecting on your identity. But I think the true questions of college have been, who are you willing to know? Who are you willing to learn from? Who are you willing to show up for, and how? I think one of the strange things about college is how quickly other people's lives become folded into your own. Suddenly you know what holidays someone celebrates, what food they miss from home, what time they call their parents, what subjects make them angry, and what makes them laugh. You start picking up pieces of each other almost unintentionally. And over time, that changes the way you move through the world. One of the greatest gifts of this place has been the opportunity to encounter people whose lives, beliefs, and traditions look differently from my own, and to realize that those differences were an opportunity and not an obstacle. For me, this weekend feels like it belongs to so many more than just myself and my fellow graduates. It belongs to my parents and my brother, who have supported and inspired me. It belongs to my incredible, nurturing, and adventurous grandparents, who have traveled across the country to be here today, as well as my Palestinian grandmother and my Egyptian grandfather, whom I never had the privilege of meeting, and whose lives looked completely different from mine, but whose love, sacrifices, and values are a part of the reason I'm able to stand here at all. So much of who we become is shaped by the people around us, and when I think of who I have surrounded myself with, I can only think of smart, courageous, resilient, and hardworking people. And I feel deeply grateful for all the ways we have shaped one another. I hope this weekend is a time of reflection and celebration for you all. Congratulations.
My religious journey started in 2024 when I studied abroad in Bhutan, which is a very small country, and it's about 75% Buddhist. So I thought I was going to go there and come back completely transformed. I thought I would be like a Buddhist nun. I thought I would be closer to enlightenment and super wise. And while I was there, I definitely got exposed to Buddhism in this very beautiful way. I got to go to all of these temples and monasteries, and I would sit there and try to meditate and feel meaning. I thought I would like feel all of this like immediate meaning, but sometimes I would be sitting there and feel very empty. And after reflection, it was because I hadn't had a very long journey with it. I didn't grow up with Buddhism. I didn't grow up going to these temples like other people did. So I couldn't just one day show up and then feel that meaning. I needed to put in more time and energy and effort to to spend time there and learn about it. So when I left Bhutan, I had shaved my head, so a lot of people thought that I was very spiritually endowed, but I wasn't actually very much different than I was when I came. But I came back to Claremont wanting to find these spaces for myself, and having not a very long time, but about a year and a half more here, I wanted to find where these communities were for myself. And my friend Shreya introduced me to the Interfaith Council, which we met at the McAllister Center. And there we would break bread, we would eat together, and we would talk about things that would make my brain hurt, but I'd be very excited. And we're talking with students from all different spiritual beliefs. So that was a huge support system for me. And then I started going to a monastery in Pomona called Midland Chan Monastery. And I did 4 semesters of meditation classes and also learning about Buddhist philosophy there. I got to teach children there. I got to connect with elderly people. It was wonderful. And then probably lastly, I became the leader of a club called Mind Lunch, which was founded by Stella, who's sitting over there. And that was a little intimidating because I hadn't really been much of a leader in my time here, or kind of like being the one sending the emails. I thought it was good that I was just showing up. But then I became the person reaching out and trying to find, well, the club was to bring different spiritual and religious practitioners, and we would meet every week, and it would give students and anybody that wanted to come a chance to learn about a diversity of practices. So I brought a holistic health healer, Reiki practitioners, we did sound bath, we did Qigong. Imam Hadi came and taught us about Ramadan, and Reverend Joel came, and that was also an incredible community that I got to learn about just such like a wide variety of what there is here and how people make meaning in their lives. So even though I didn't go to Bhutan and come back completely transformed, the way I like to think about it as like a metaphor is like I didn't go there and they just gave me a tree, but I went there and it planted a seed in my head as to what I wanted to then grow for myself. And then I came here and was able to really experience that meaning and that depth that I was looking for there. So thank you, everybody.
I'm Austin Shockley, and I'm graduating with my PhD in social psychology from Claremont Graduate University this year. And I want to thank everybody for coming, and all the family members, and my family members as well, my mom and my daddy, and all of you for being here today, because this is what the vein of this community is and how much of a heart it is for me. And I really start off with Claremont Christian Fellowship. It's wonderful, and it's such a grounding part of this interfaith community, and it's really how we can come together as individuals. So I want to thank Bree and John and everyone here in the Claremont, because it is because of individuals like y'all that this community is built and can continue forth, and I see other individuals here that are part of that. So I just want to thank y'all for being here today, and thank you for asking me to share today. So some of you know my testimony that I've had previously, and I've given it to some, but others may or may not. My family has been in law enforcement, and I spoke about God having my six and having my back the entire time. And when doing so, it was a part of a realization on my own that I needed to put really God first in my life. And when I put God first in my life, that's when things come to fruition. And this is part of the community that brings that together. So when I made the decision to really fully commit and put God first in my dissertation, it was things that were falling quickly into place after that. And in doing so, it was part of this community that helped me strengthen that faith that I have with others and the faith that I have my own. And it's just such a beautiful thing to experience and live, and that God is love and God wants us to love with each other. And in that love we can create, we can grow, and we can be a more intellectual community with one another. So it was the prayers that I had answered here, because when I first came here, there was a divide that I felt with a scientific approach with presentations that were had. I was like, well, this presentation doesn't see God in this presentation. There's just this complete scientific approach in that. And I distinctly remember a moment when I was calling my parents behind the Berkeley trash can, and I was like, I don't know if people believe in God here. I was like, I was having this emotional moment. And then later we had a supper together, and I spoke to this individual who had the conversation, and lo and behold, he didn't believe in God, and he indicated that there was something that we could do with that, and that doesn't give you that much of a separation. And we had a really great conversation about that. And it was then at that moment I was like, God, I really want to see Christ in the community in California. I feel like maybe there's a moment that I'm missing or something that I'm learning more, that I want to learn more, and that I need to have for myself and the love that I have in this community. So in doing so, that I found that this amazing community that I have with CCF, and that there weren't so many grad students in CCF before, but there's a massive graduate community within the Claremont Christian Fellowship now, and it's really built within the interfaith community. And in doing so, that so many people have come together. And as I stand here today, I remember Kayla standing here last year in this position, and she's with her amazing wife in Maryland now, and so she's thriving there too. But she was actually at the church that I went to at St. Ambrose, and so it was really nice to have the community that I found in the church that I wanted to go to for myself. Being, I want to thank my wonderful parents again for being here. That I went to Catholic school when I was younger, and I'm a Cradle Rock Episcopalian, so I really wanted to find a community here that matched that for me. And St. Ambrose was that, and I found that being a community in Claremont and having that at the church really brought that together. So this interfaith community is a place where we can have individuals that shine, and I pray that we all continue here to take that light with us in the next chapters. In this community, it's a place that brings people of various faiths together, and it's for those that we can have strength within each other, and we can bring that strength forward. So I just want to thank you, Joel, Father Mackin, everyone been doing so much, and Chris and the whole community, CCF community. My parents also thank y'all for being here to take this experience forward and continue sharing the blessing that you have all graciously given to me. A group with the Christ-centered hearts and love that we can have and share and continue forward with in everything that we do, the works that we are given to do. So thank y'all. God bless. Peace be with you.
Hello everyone, I'm Jacob. I'm an engineering major at Harvey Mudd. And since my sophomore year, I've been a Bible study leader in 5CIV. That's our 5-college intervarsity Christian fellowship at the Claremont colleges. We're an interdenominational group of people exploring faith and trying to follow in the teaching of Christ. 5CIV and the broader Christian community, including my friends in CCF, in First Love, in the Catholic Students Association, have been an incredibly massive part of my life for all 4 of my years here at Mudd. But I wasn't always very involved in faith or community for that matter. I grew up in a non-denominational Christian home, and I always intellectually believed in God and held basic Christian beliefs. But since I never had some clear spiritual experience or some clear turning point in my life where I could say that I've given my life to Christ, throughout high school I wrestled with doubts about whether my faith was genuine. I see now how God has put people in my life to reflect his love to me from the very beginning, especially through my own parents, who are some of the most self-sacrificing people that I know. But it was by coming into college and meeting other young people who are also wrestling with faith, striving, maybe struggling, to live out the teachings of Jesus, where God's presence became undeniable. Through a deep dive into the Gospel of Mark with other 5CIV students, I think God opened my eyes to see that wanting to find God is a part or a way of knowing him. For example, when Jesus spoke in parables, his disciples had to have the humility to recognize that they didn't have all the answers, as well as a curiosity to then go and look for those answers. After another important theological conversation with my friends, I believe God led me one night to read through the book of Romans, which is one long train of thought outlining Christian theology and pointing people to the hope that we have in Christ. In that moment, everything I read felt like it was written to me, crushing every fear, every doubt that I had been carrying for years. Through moments like these, driven by time spent in this beautiful community, I powerfully experienced the love of God. But beyond these moments in Christian community, it's just been a privilege and a blessing to be part of the broader religious and spiritual life at the Claremont colleges. I'm amazed and encouraged by people's openness to talk about faith and other deep matters of life. We are so fortunate to have the chaplains, the McAllister Center, one another, all the resources that these colleges provide for us. Looking back at my time at Harvey Mudd, with great gratitude to God, as well as to all of you who have made these experiences possible, to all of you who have been delighted to participate in open conversations, to point me to God through your genuine care, I encourage all of us to keep pursuing truth. Jesus said that the truth shall set you free, and that's been so, well, true in my own experience. In Genesis 32, we read that my namesake, Jacob, wrestled with God. Jacob was blessed in the wrestling, and I absolutely believe that we will be too. In my 4 years of wrestling here, I've seen the love of God in answered prayers, and in the selflessness and the warmth and the imperfect but sincere living out of his teachings of people like my brothers and sisters in 5CIV. Our relationship with God and the relationships with one another that are redeemed by God's good work ongoing in our hearts will long outlast anything that we can do in school, in our jobs, in anything that life throws at us. As I look to the future and consider my own hopes and dreams for life after college, I remember what we read in the Psalms. As for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like the flower of the field. For the wind passes over it, and it is gone, and its place knows it no more. But the steadfast love of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting. Likewise, in the book of Jeremiah we read, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." I hope and I pray that each of us continues to see God's good plan at work in our hearts and in our lives, in and through us, as we move forward into the next chapter. Thank you so much for being a part of my journey and for letting me be some part of yours. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hadi Qazwini. I'm one of the chaplains and director of Muslim Life here at the Claremont Colleges. It's so wonderful to see everyone here, graduates, students, families, friends, all coming together in celebration. I'm sure that you'll all agree that hearing our graduates was just so delightful. You know, all of them sharing their beautiful personal journeys and experiences just was so wonderful. So thank you all for sharing your beautiful words of wisdom, and it's been a pleasure working with all of you. We now have the pleasure of hearing from another amazing person, our keynote speaker this afternoon, Dr. Vanessa Gomez-Brake, and it's my distinct honor to be able to introduce her. Dr. Vanessa Gomez-Brake is the Senior Associate Dean of Religious and Spiritual Life at the University of Southern California, USC, which happens to be my alma mater. Fight on. Vanessa is the first humanist chaplain to serve in this capacity at an American university. At USC, she works to promote and support religious and spiritual life across the university, helping to oversee more than 90 student groups and 50 religious directors. That keeps you busy. Across, of course, campus. Previously, Vanessa worked at Stanford University's Office for Religious Life. She's received multiple awards for her work, including most recently the 2025 Chaplain of the Year Award from the Association for Chaplaincy and Spiritual Life in Higher Education. Vanessa is an accomplished scholar. I think I counted 5 degrees, correct me if I'm wrong, and a couple of certificates. She's an accomplished scholar. She holds dual BA degrees in religious studies and psychology from Arizona State University, a Master of Science degree from George Mason University with an emphasis on religion and peacekeeping, a Master of Divinity degree from the Chicago Theological Seminary, and a Doctorate of Education degree from the University of Southern California. She also holds a certificate in Humanist Studies and Leadership from the Humanist Institute. And if all of that was not enough, Vanessa is also an accomplished Filipino folk dancer and multi-instrumentalist. She's performed at the White House and Carnegie Hall for Filipino American History Month celebrations. Her folk artistry is an extension of her interfaith work, as her performances showcase the diverse traditions, rituals, beliefs of Muslims, Christian, and indigenous peoples of the Philippines. Above all, Vanessa is an amazing human being and a great friend. I've had the pleasure of knowing her for many years now from my time at USC, and she's no stranger to the Claremont Colleges as well. In this past year, she was member of the Religious and Spiritual Life External Review Team, where she and her team spent considerable time with our students, faculty, and staff, and offered invaluable insights and suggestions to enhance our office and services. Vanessa, we're so delighted to welcome you back to Claremont and grateful to you for graciously accepting our invitation to participate tonight at Baccalaureate. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Vanessa Gomez-Brake.
Well, hello there and good afternoon. It's a delight to be here on the occasion of Claremont College's commencement celebration and baccalaureate here. And like everyone on the stage, I have to thank the chaplains for the invitation to be here. So dear graduates, faculty, families, and friends, we gather in a moment that is both ordinary and holy. It's familiar, yet sacred. Ordinary because of these familiar faces, in this familiar place, and in this familiar setting. But it is also sacred because this particular day marks a passage, a liminal space, on the cusp of something new. Today marks a significant milestone in the lives of the 2026 graduating class, and as such, as these students have done, the time is ripe for reflection. Over the last several years, you students have lived through pandemic aftershocks, rising anxieties, economic pressures, political polarization, and the ache of a world that has often felt too heavy to carry. Some of the suffering has been close to home, some of it has been far away, but the heartache was just as real. And yet all of you have studied, you've changed, you've grown during this time of an extraordinary transition. You continue to learn, to care, and to show up. You've learned how to build community after isolation, how to keep going through times of uncertainty, and how to live with new and emerging technologies. You've also learned how to carry yourselves through seasons when the future did not always feel so clear. So these years have not only tested you, they have formed you. These years have given you a new perspective and a deeper sense of what matters most. So over these next few minutes, I want to tell you about a few of the teachings and the teachers that carried me through these times. And perhaps you too will be reminded of the lessons you learned while in college, which will continue to inform how you engage with this world. Let me begin by telling you about one of my favorite faculty members at USC. Her name is Ashley Yoshiro Simon, a professor in occupational therapy. She told me that occupational therapists often concern themselves with storytelling and story making. Storytelling is how we humans make sense of our world and what has already happened in the past. We are all storytellers, ascribing meaning to our personal histories and our lived experiences. We have all been told stories by our families, our communities, and our society that have shaped our understanding of this world. Story making, on the other hand, is the creation of stories that will be enacted in the future. We are all in the middle of our own unfolding stories, and we have the power to author those stories and to envision what comes next. So one family story I'd like to share with you now is about my mother, Alejandra. My mother grew up in a small farming village several hours south of Manila, Philippines, and she began school at a young age so that she could aid her older sister, Lily, who had been injured and thus needed support in the classroom setting and just getting around. My mom was lovingly referred to as a kitten by her classmates, since she was less a student and more so a pet or a friend of the class, a little mascot, if you will. Sadly though, Lily forever changed by this loss. But what happened next also shaped the future of our family for generations. My mom was embraced by her classmates, and the school ended up allowing her to matriculate. She was cared for deeply by her learning community during a time of extreme grief. And although she already had 3 other older siblings, that year she gained about 20 more. So Alejandra ended up graduating from elementary school at that young age. But get this, Lily's death also infused my mother with a sense of purpose. At the time, the Philippines didn't have a middle school system and our village didn't have a high school. And so no one in our family had received an education beyond 6th grade. My mother was undeterred. Seeing her education as an act of remembering and an act of honoring Lily, Alejandra came from a family of farmers, and that was what her parents, her grandparents, and siblings had all done, growing corn, sugarcane, peanuts, and a variety of vegetables for their own consumption. But my mom was not satisfied with her elementary education, and after working the farm for a few years, made a bold choice. At the age of 12, she left her family. She left her village in pursuit of an education. She found work in the big city and took night classes with adults, and this meant she would not see her family very often, maybe at Christmas, maybe during the fiesta. And after 5 years, my mom graduated with her high school diploma, all the while working full-time by day. And as if that wasn't enough of an accomplishment, she decided to go to college. And furthermore, she paved a way such that every family member after her would have the means to pursue a higher education if they so chose. And many of them have. My mother, Alejandra, is a trailblazer, and this is a legacy I inherited. She modeled for me a pioneering spirit and a willingness to endure hardship in order to explore what was beyond the boundaries of the family narrative and into the unknown. I have no doubt that many of you here today have inherited your own stories of struggle. Your success is a testament to your family's longing for something more. You have all faced your own challenges and barriers to reaching this milestone in your life. Your path to these colleges and to graduation may not have always been clear, and they may not have always been easy or straightforward, but life rarely is. So let me move now to the story making, because you are all at a pivotal point in your story. My mother, she authored her own story, one that her family members could not have imagined for her. And from her model, I was inspired to write my own. So when I was in college, I surprised my parents by choosing a path they had not exactly prepared for. I had grown up Catholic, like most Filipinos, and when I took a general studies class in world religions, I fell in love. Actually, I fell in love every week, because each class gave me a new sense of wonder. What I later came to understand as holy envy, that mix of awe and appreciation when you encounter something true and beautiful in another tradition, that was the love I felt in religious studies. My parents, however, had already written a story for me. In their view, the options were fairly clear, and perhaps many immigrants and most parents know this, the options were doctor, lawyer, and if those didn't work out, I just have to be a triple threat actress, singer, dancer. And I'm still working on that one. Anyhow, I did what any practical, peace-loving daughter would do. I chose psychology first, because I could be a doctor that way. But I also knew there was another part of me that wanted to keep studying religion. So quietly, I declared a second major without telling my parents. secrets from parents. I'm just up here offering a confession. Clearly, I was just determined, just as my mother had been, to get her education. And so by graduation, I had earned dual degrees, which made for a very satisfying moment for me and a very confusing one for my parents. Looking back, that was one of the first times I had trusted my own voice enough. To follow it, even when the ending of my story was not yet clear. As you heard, I'm a secular humanist. Some people may call me an atheist. And some of you are just probably wondering how it is I came to become a religious professional, a chaplain, someone who provides spiritual care, who can create rituals and convene gatherings around life cycle events. Well, oddly enough, as an atheist, I had faith. A young preacher from Georgia once said, "Faith is taking the step even when you don't see the whole staircase." So just as my mother had faith in her pursuit of an education, I had faith in the pursuit of my passion for studying religion, for studying theology, even if I didn't share in the supernatural beliefs that most of my classmates in seminary had. I took my own leap of faith by pursuing my passion for religion without a clearly defined path to a career. Let me transition now to tell you about another teacher I admire. Professor Lisa Miller is the founding director of the Spirituality Mind-Body Institute at Columbia University. She conducts evidence-based research examining the effects of spirituality across the human lifespan. Her neuroscience research details how our brains are hardwired for spiritual engagement and how such practices actually improve our mental health and overall well-being. So at a recent talk, she shared how neuroscientists listen to the brain's electrical rhythms through EEG, and through this research, we now know of the variety of brain states that humans exhibit, and these different rhythms or frequencies. I don't know if we have any neuroscientists here, but here's some of the basics. The alpha rhythm is when your brain is calm, awake, you're relaxed, quiet, present. The beta rhythm that they've observed is the brain in work mode. You're alert, you're thinking, you're analyzing, you're solving, and responding to your outer world. And then, of course, there is the theta rhythm, when the brain is in inward mode. You're dreaming, you're meditative, you're creative, or you're just on the edge of sleep. That's slight awareness. So this theta rhythm is what Dr. Miller's research refers to as the awakened mind, or the awakened brain. Dr. Miller emphasizes that the capacity to perceive the deeper, sacred nature of reality is innate and available to everyone, regardless of what your religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs. So similarly, Miller also discussed how atmospheric and geophysical scientists use specialized electromagnetic sensors to listen and measure the Earth's resonance. So get this, each lightning strike on our planet sends electromagnetic energy into the cavity between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. And those waves can circle the planet and reinforce each other at low frequencies. Believe it or not, the Earth's resonance is 7.83 hertz, which is similar to the range in which our brain waves flow when in that theta range. I'll let you make your own conclusions. But Dr. Miller suggests the awakened brain vibrates in harmony with the natural world, and that this may be proof that we are literally tuned in to the planet. It's pretty neat that both the brain and the planet can be described in terms of rhythm, and for me, this is similarly represents an invitation to wonder, as well as a beautiful reminder that human life unfolds within larger rhythms and often flourishes when it is attuned to something larger than itself. Dr. Miller's research calls to mind two of my favorite spiritual guides, a Tibetan Buddhist monk named Thich Nhat Hanh, and a famous astrophysicist and science communicator, Carl Sagan. Sagan once said, "The cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the universe to know itself." Science has shown almost every element in our bodies, the carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and iron, were forged inside ancient stars. When those stars exploded, they released these elements which eventually formed our sun, formed our earth, and it even formed us. This means you are composed of the same material as distant stars and galaxies. I think this sentiment from Sagan pairs nicely with Dr. Miller's teachings on our planet's rhythmic vibrations as a metaphor for how closely aligned our human species is with our natural world and this galaxy. As for the Buddhist monastic Thich Nhat Hanh, he was known for his insights on interbeing, or togetherness. He believed in the interconnectedness of all things and all beings, recognizing that we are all part of one another and the world around us. This concept invites us to understand that the actions we take, the words we speak, and the thoughts we hold have a profound impact on the world and the people around us. Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Everything relies on everything else in the cosmos in order to manifest, whether a star, a cloud, a flower, a tree, you and me." He believed that we are connected even beyond this present moment, and that we are continually being shaped by our interactions and experiences and even our memories. At times, when I have lost sight of my purpose in life, I find comfort in these teachings. So when I'm not sure how to write this next chapter, I remind myself of those connections. I also seek to deepen connections with those I love, my family, my friends, my colleagues, my pets, my plants. By reaching out to others and showing them love, I have often found a renewed sense of myself. This teaching, or these teachings, may sound a lot like Ubuntu, the Zulu African philosophy that says, "I am because we are." It too embodies a core belief in a universal connection. This teaching also sounds like a Filipino concept of kapwa, which means to embrace a shared identity, a togetherness with others, and an embedded obligation to care for one another. Many cultures, religions, and philosophical traditions offer teachings on how we might know ourselves through our relationships with others, and many indigenous traditions extend that understanding to all species and to the planet as well. So as I move to conclude these threads into one final offering for you, remember that you are storytellers, shaped by what you have inherited by your families, your communities, and the moments that have marked you. You are also story makers, standing now at the threshold of what comes next, with the power to author lives of meaning, courage, and care. You are not solitary beings moving through an empty world. You belong to one another. You belong to communities that have sustained you, to histories that have formed you, and to a world whose rhythms continue to shape you. Your life unfolds with relationships within a deeply interconnected world, whether you name that connections spiritually, humanity, nature, or something else entirely. It is real. And your life, your gifts, and your becoming matter deeply within it. So when the path ahead feels uncertain, remember, you come from stories of resilience. You are sustained by relationships of care, and you are capable of creating a future that reflects what matters most to you. Howard Thurman, a Christian philosopher, mystic, educator, civil rights activist, and university chaplain, famously said, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So dear class of 2026, listen closely for what brings you alive. Honor the stories that brought you here, but do not be confined by them. Have the courage to imagine new possibilities for yourself and for others. Care for your mind, your body, and your spirit. Tend to your relationships as they will carry you when you cannot carry yourself. Resist the pressure to become only what the world expects of you, and instead become who you are called to be. Go gently in a world that can be harsh. Go bravely in moments that will ask much of you. Go together, remembering that none of us are meant to do this alone. And as you step forward from this place, this school, may you be grounded in what sustains you, open to what transforms you, and committed to what connects you. Congratulations, class of 2026. May you go forth and write a story that is fully, deeply, and authentically your own.
Actually, I feel you can do more. Can you do something more for her? I'm Father Baitis, the chaplain and director of Catholic Life. And I want to thank you, Vanessa, for that wonderful experience you've just shared with us, especially how you shared how pursuit of passion has led you to this diverse, wonderful experience and moments. Especially also how you highlighted that showing others love renews and sustains oneself. And we had you on what the world means and how to conquer the world. Once again, thank you. And so now, the next is chaplains will be honoring our students with graduation cards. Just one request, please hold your applause until the end. Now, I know we want to take pictures, so we'll request that if you would like to take pictures, just a little, you have to be a little patient. That will be after the event. And then we have the opportunity to take a common pictures. So once everyone has received their card, I assure you, I promise you, we'll come back here and then we'll try to take some pictures and then recognize everyone. Once again, one thing that is very important to us now is to thank you for your patience. Thank you for honoring our graduate. Thank you for being here. And we are very proud of you, and we are honored to have you here. And so we invite the graduates to please come forward. Do we have any other graduates? Please come forward. Yeah. Yeah, come on. Yeah. Yeah. So you can now take pictures if you want to. Thank you. Thank you so much. And just a few more minutes. Dear friends, graduates, family, faculty, staff, and the entire 7 Cs. We have arrived where the chaplain is asked to offer brief closing remarks. And I want to assure you, I'm emphasizing the word brief. I know some of you are already thinking about a whole lot of stuff, especially the dinner spaces waiting already, and how to politely escape one more photo with a lot of us here. But then one thing that is very important is how, starting from the introduction, how the Claremont colleges, especially the religious and spiritual life, has honored each person's journey. And we have also had the testimony of the students, how each and every person, especially forming a community that has given us peace and drive our individual search for meaning and encompasses everyone in such a way that everyone feels welcome and community. So, this is a wonderful experience. And this is something that you can never find anywhere except within the Claremont colleges. And I'm going to tell you why. Because as much diverse as you can be, you are so much appreciated and you are so much welcome. And your views and search for meaning, no matter how it is twisted, could ever be. Because if you come from a philosophical point of view, you have Pomona to take care of you. And if you are coming from the policy analysis, you have CMC to take care of you. And if you are coming from the poetry point of view, you have scripts to take care of you. And you have, maybe you have a lot of imaginations and you're going socially, you have PISA to take care of you. Of course, when you have a lot of equations and mathematical jargons in your head, you have Happy Mode to take care of you. And then, of course, when you have biotech metaphors that make you feel smarter and like you walk with your head high, you have KGI to take care of you. And of course, when you know that you have a lot of graduate level gravitas, like when you move and feel like, I'm a graduate and have to hold PhDs, you have CGU to take care of you. And so, this is a way of saying that we have a wonderful community and we are here to honor those individual experiences, especially the one that makes us to understand that Claremont Colleges has all it takes to welcome us and to take care of our emotions and search for meaning. And so once again, we want to thank you, and we want to thank everyone who has made it here, especially the way you have been patiently understanding and patiently trying to honor our sons and daughters and our graduates. In the beginning, Joe has thanked everybody, and I'm standing on that protocols to still reiterate our gratitude to them, especially the way they have kept the office of religious and spiritual life running. But I don't want to miss one situation where we have this gentleman, Joe, who, I don't know how to put it, but I would say sadly, leaving us for some moment. Thank you, Joe, for all you have done, and we appreciate it. And we also, and we want to thank you, Solomon. You were here for a short moment, but you made a huge impact in the life of all of us. Thank you. We appreciate you, Solomon. We have your incoming Rabbi Rick, who just a day here, he has already stamped his feet on the ground. Thank you so much, Rabbi Rick. We expect to see much of you. And every other person, of course, I don't want to keep you waiting. If you didn't hear your name, just know I have mentioned your name in my heart. And so, before we go, and before we close, I want to offer a final blessings that will always keep us, especially when we have understood what it means. But one promise I have to give on behalf of the graduates is that as they were sharing how this place has become community for them, especially in their search for meaning and in their search for peace. What they failed to understand is that at those moments, they were the figures building those communities. They were the figures trying to gather everybody together to find peace for one another. So we appreciate that. Our promise is that we're going to stand on that and continue to build on that community that will make Claremont Colleges, through the Religious and Spiritual Life Department, one of the best places you can be as you search for your meaning and grounding. And so I pray that your curiosity may stay wide, that your courage stay steady, and that your compassion stay fierce. May your humor stay intact, especially when life feels like finals week. May your community stay close to you, even across time zones. And may you always know that wherever you go, the Claremont Colleges is going with you. Thank you for your brilliance. Thank you for the questions you have asked. Thank you for the joy you have shared. And most especially, thank you for the humanity you have brought to this campus. And thank you for all you have given us to continue to walk and build on. And may you continue to shine. And don't forget, as Vanessa said, your passion is your drive. Amen. And as you go, please don't forget to pick refreshment out there. Please don't forget. Thank you. And you can now, the chaplains are here to take pictures, so if you're ready, we're here. Thank you.